14th morning. Welcome to God Hour. And today we're going to be diving into Psalm 105. As I've mentioned many times, one of my customers, my day job, gives me almost all of the content we've recently posted, or suggestions on stuff to use, and this one is no exception. With his permission, I will let you know this is Old Man Levi. And if you're one of my customers or friends or whatever, if you know me in real life, you'll probably know who I'm talking about. In any case, Psalm 105. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him, sing psalms unto him. Talk to you all of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Seek the Lord and his strength, seek his face evermore. Remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham his servant, ye children of Jacob his chosen. He is the Lord our God, his judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac, and conferred the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, Unto thee I will give thee the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. When they were but a few men in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it, and they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people, he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes, saying, Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Moreover, he called for a famine upon the land. He brake the whole staff of bread. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron. Until the time that his word came, the word of the Lord tried him. The king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people, and let him go free. He made him lord of his house, and ruler of all his substance, to bind his princes at his pleasure, and teach his senators wisdom. Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned into the land of Ham. And he increased his people greatly, and made them stronger than their enemies. He turned their heart to hate his people, to deal subtly with his servants. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. They shewed him signs among them, and wonders in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made it dark, and they rebelled not against his word. He turned their waters into blood, and slew their fish. Their land brought forth frogs in abundance, in the chambers of their king. He spake, and there came to divers sorts of flies and lice in all their coasts. He gave them hail for rain, and flaming fire in their land. He smote their vines also, and their fig trees, and brake the trees of their coasts. He spake, and the locusts came, and caterpillars, and that without number, and did eat all the herbs in their land, and devoured the fruit of their ground. He smote also all the firstborn in their land, the chief of all their strength. He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. Egypt was glad when they departed, for the fear of them fell upon them. He spread a cloud for a covering, and fire to give light in the night. The people asked, and he brought quails, and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. He opened the rock, and the waters gushed out. They ran in the dry places like a river. For he remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant. And he brought forth his people with joy, and his chosen with gladness, and gave them the lands of the heathen, and they inherited the labor of the people, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Praise ye the Lord. Now, I'm not here just to read a chapter to you. You could do that on your own quite easily, but the essence of God Hour is not just quoting scripture, but analyzing it and discussing it, and ideally receiving discussion in return. So I'm going to lay on some of the points here. Verse 2, sing unto him, sing songs unto him. Now, it's clear that this being a psalm, that this was put into a musical or lyrical format, and it didn't translate in English beautifully, as to say, musically. But with that said, sing unto him, sing songs unto him, talk ye of all his wondrous works. Which reminds me that God Hour's been missing one of its key elements, is the rhyme of the day. We've done the quote of the day, we've done the verse of the day quite regularly, but in its first version, 1.0 if you want to call it that, we also included a rhyme, poem or a song or something that I'd written. So in the interest of singing unto him, singing songs unto him, I'm just going to read. I'm not going to sing. I don't want to hurt anybody's ears and steer anybody away from the message I'm trying to relay. But looking more into Psalm 105, there's a lot of stuff there that, if you're familiar with the Bible, you know exactly what he's talking about. For example, when he, in verse 16, when he called for a famine upon the land, and break the whole staff of bread. Okay, that can be a little tricky, I understand, in this King James Version. Like he break the whole staff of bread. Well, what I'm assuming is talking about it means the whole staff, in like the sense of people that are working at a company or Pharaoh, probably in this instance, because he's clearly the psalmist clearly getting into the plagues that were unleashed upon Egypt and Pharaoh. But we also see reference there to Joseph. And where did he first mention Joseph? Yeah, chapter 7, or verse 17. He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant. And then we have that reference to Joseph and coat of many colors, who was sold for a servant, whose feet they hurt with fetters, and he was laid in iron. And then even then, while a prisoner, presumably being mistreated or, pulled a bed, probably beat, and so on. Ultimately, the king sent and loosed him. The king pardoned him, let him free. And then even elevated him to Lord of the king's house. I guess you would call that steward of his house. Or if you follow Game of Thrones, made him hand of the king. In any case, to bind his princes at his pleasure. And I'm seeing more and more Game of Thrones. If you remember at the beginning when King Robert made Ned hand of the king, and Ned was calling these lords to the capital to face justice. This is a guy who was just recently in the dungeon, but all of a sudden elevated to the position of binding princes at his pleasure. In other words, the king's sons were, presumably these princes were his sons. Not guaranteed, but he gave Joseph the power to do that. And to teach his senators wisdom. So this king obviously saw something in Joseph. The ability to command, the ability to manage, and the wisdom to govern and teach others how to govern. All because of God. And verse 23, Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. I'm not sure the correct way to pronounce it, but I say Ham to differentiate between a piece of pork. And then verse 26 is where we lay into the well-known story of Moses and Aaron, his brother. And of course, turned the waters into blood and slew their fish. You can find that in the story of Moses. Their land brought forth frogs in abundance. You can find that as one of the plagues. He spake, and there came divers. King James Version spells it divers, but I'm assuming we mean diverse sorts of flies and lice in all their coasts. He gave them hail for rain, flaming fire in their land, and so on and so on. He spread a cloud for covering and fire to give light at night, but when they were fleeing, Egypt was, Pharaoh changed his mind, You remember from the movie, let my people go, and then finally Pharaoh said, go. And then he said, wait, now go get them, go bring them back. Changed my mind. But the Lord hid their movements with a cloud and gave fire at night to let them continue their fleeing throughout the night. People asked, and he brought quails and satisfied them with the bread of heaven. Now, if he's talking about quails, you just simply do a translation version to see what they mean by that. Because quails can mean different things. It may not just mean the quail birds, Seems like they are referring to quail. They asked, and he brought quail and gave them bread from heaven in abundance. And we know that, maybe you don't, I'm sorry to assume, but the people were starving, didn't have anything to eat, and the Lord literally made it rain manna, M-A-N-N-A, from heaven, which is a kind of bread-like substance that provided nutrition, which in itself, there's a lot to be said about manna. And it's interesting that actually not surprising at all, that the first instinct many of them had was to hoard the manna that had fallen from heaven and try to save it, and that way they'd have it when their brothers and friends and so on didn't. Yet it rotted every night. So it rained bread, you got to eat it, you got to be full, and then you didn't get to have any more of it. It kind of reminds me a little bit about that movie on Netflix called The Platform. They would send them food, but they couldn't hoard it. They had to trust. But we're not going to get into that movie, although it is a very interesting movie and one worth watching. Anyway, we're going to conclude with a rhyme of the day. Now this is a song. I don't have a guitar here with me, but I've used this one before. I didn't compose this from scratch today, but I call it The Great Awake. It's pretty basic. With every darkness there's a dawn, and every heart lies a song. And everyone born will say so long, but needn't fear, their faith is strong. For great things await, and it's never too late. Trust Him with all your soul, and God will call us children home. And troubles I've had, done less good than bad, but since that fateful crash, my soul never felt so glad. I had to be torn down, rebuilt from the ground, and what I've been looking for I found, and then again my heart could pound. Chorus, great things await, it's never too late. Trust Him with all your soul, and God will call His children home. And I love music, I love rock and roll, but love greater my rock and roll. So let us sing and worship with our soul, shout hallelujah and shout it bold. I may sing poorly, but I don't care, for the deaf and dumb still have prayer. Every note and word sent to the great upstairs and is received and remembered, so don't despair. Because great things await, it's never too late. Trust Him with all your soul, and God will call His children home. I doubt anybody's asking for an encore, but that is our God hour for this morning. You all have a good day. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot. I'm off today. I'm going to go outside and do some yard work. God bless you all. I welcome your comments. I welcome your likes. I welcome your negative feedback. If you have criticisms, be my guest. If you have questions, and certainly subscribe are probably the key thing that will help this thing reach its goal of becoming a live stream, an interactive thing that we can do every morning. But with that, oh, and prayer requests. You can throw those in your comments too. I don't pray on camera. It's taught in the Bible that we're not supposed to do that. It's kind of a way of showing off and bringing glory to yourself, not actually praying. But if you need somebody to pray with you, you can reach out to me on a one-on-one private type prayer. But that's going to wrap us up. Have a great day, everybody. God bless you all.